We now have official pictures of the new LEGO Star Wars Ewing that is coming on May 1st, and here it is. It's set number 75399 with 594 pieces and a retail price of $70 US. And my first initial impressions are, it actually looks pretty solid. It's definitely not perfect, but now that we can see more angles of this thing, especially what's on the box art, it looks better. I think that picture that initially leaked a few weeks ago definitely made the set look really bad from that back angle, which is also the same picture they're using here, but in other angles it actually looks really solid, again, especially on the box art. However, first I want to talk about the minifigures, and starting off with K2SO, he actually looks like a different version than the one that came out in 2016, with some very minor differences in the printing on his chest. The old one having a white and blue dot on the side, and this new one looks like it just has two gray dots, and on the old one there's some more white in that middle area, and on this one it looks like it's all gray, so just some very minor differences there. And the old one actually has some head printing on the side and the back, with a little red dot on the side, and then also some scuffs at the top left that this one doesn't seem to have, so very minor differences. But other than that, everything looks exactly the same, exact same molds, exact same everything. I do think the older one looks a tad bit better with the colored dot as well as the scuffs on his head, but if you don't have that one, this one is still good. I don't think you should go and buy that older one. Anyways though, then we have Cassian. He looks good, as good as he needs to. I don't have much to say there. But then we have Dedre Miro, and this should be the highlight minifigure for this set. The chest and torso printing looks great, and she also has that 2-in-1 hat hairpiece mold that also looks good. However, I'm worried about the leg printing for obvious reason, because it's white printed on black. In the render it obviously looks fine, but in person that black is probably going to be bleeding through that white pretty badly, making the white printing on the leg have a fainted color that's not going to match the white on the torso. I mean, this is expected. It's been happening for years now, obviously with Fox and then even before that, but I just hope it doesn't affect this figure all too much. And then lastly we have the Imperial Trooper, and this guy actually looks really cool. I love the armor printing on his chest and his legs. I do think he looks a bit strange by having all that armor and then just a head with a hat. He looks like he should have some type of helmet, but I mean, that's how they're seen in the trailer, so I guess it's accurate. Now moving on to the actual build, like I said, it looks better than it did in the original picture that leaked. However, it's still definitely not perfect, but I'll say what I think looks good about it first. The most notable thing is that it's very sleek and clean looking, especially on that picture on the box art. I think it looks great. It also appears to have a cool function for the spring-loaded shooters, and obviously the wings can open up, and it looks like they have the exact same function as the older one from 2016, where it has those ball joints that hold it into place. And this picture here is what I especially want to talk about, and that's that it actually looks like a good size for its price. Yes, it's downsized, and yes, it's obviously smaller than the older one, but the older one was $80, adjusted for inflation is about $100 today, and this one is $70, and for $70, this actually looks like a good sized build, which I'm honestly happy with because it looks like we're going to be getting our money's worth. However, since it's downsized, that means it also has some extra problems. The first is that the cockpit looks very crammed. I mean, you can't see much of it in this picture, but it just looks more crammed than the older one, and what looks even more crammed is the cargo area on the bottom. First of all, the door folds down when it's supposed to slide open like it does on the older one. However, that's not even my main issue. My main issue is that it just looks like it's going to be super hard to get figures in there. The older one was already crammed enough if any of you guys have that set, but this one looks like it's going to be a lot worse. And also, speaking of the door, in this picture right here, when the wings are open, it does look like there's a pretty noticeable gap there at the top. I mean, that might just be something with the picture. Maybe the door is not folded up all the way, but it's worth pointing out. Now, the engines, I think, look really good in terms of detail and their shaping and just simply how they look. They're a lot better than the older one. However, unfortunately, they are a bit too big, which does throw off its look. It's not awful, but it's definitely noticeable. Another thing I noticed about all of these pictures is that none of them showed the bottom of the ship, specifically that transparent windshield that's on the bottom at the front. However, in the 3D render here, you can kind of see it at a few angles, but I can't really make out anything on it. It doesn't look like there's stickers on it. The older one had stickers, but this one looks like there isn't any. But again, I can barely see it. I just wanted to show it in case you guys are curious. Anyways though, that is the Ewing. We finally have all the official pictures of it now. Again, it looks surprisingly better than it did in that initial leak, and it surprisingly looks like a good size for its price point. However, it's still not perfect for the things I pointed out, and it's definitely a downgrade from the older one. But let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more videos, use it on the screen right now.